Hello and welcome to this week's episode of #Leadership What's on Your Mind. Remember, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on your podcast provider. Remember, our aim is to add value to your leadership journey by having amazing people with amazing stories and experts in their field. So today we are speaking to Khalida. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
Right, so I'm super excited about this. Thank you so much for coming on. And it feels a privilege to have this platform to invite people like yourself on to come and tell your story. So without further ado, I'm not even going to go any further than that because I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. So as I hit the 20-minute timer, if you'd just like to introduce yourself to the people who don't know who you are.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm former captain of Afghanistan women's national team and one of the founding member of the first Afghanistan women's football league and national team, but been very much involved in development of women's football in Afghanistan as a way for activism, using football for activism and advocacy. And currently I'm founder and director for Girl Power organization, a non-profit organization, but I'm also working and involved very much with Right to Dream Academy based in Denmark.
Fantastic, unbelievable. And people will already know that there is an amazing story attached to what you've just said then and the positions you've been in. So let's cover the two questions. Obviously, we're #leadership, what's on your mind? What comes to your mind when you hear the word leadership?
Leadership for me means leading human beings, being responsible, accepting vulnerability, being vulnerable, being brave.
Yeah, and all the things that you've had to experience and had to raise up to as well. So I'm going to ask you about your personal leadership journey now. So where do you think your leadership journey started, whether it's on reflection or there was a light bulb moment at the time and you realized this was when it was going to start? How far back are we going?
It's back into my childhood or my life as a teenager, where I felt like every time I felt or recognized injustices in a society, in a male-dominated society, in a war-torn country where I grew up, Afghanistan, where women, especially women and children, are lacking basic human rights. So coming from a very privileged family with all the support I had from my family, or the safe space that I had in my family, every time I felt the injustices, or I witnessed the injustices towards women, especially in the society, I felt responsible. I felt that I have to do something about it. And that leadership came very natural in me to figure out how can I be the voice for the voiceless women in the society where they are going through different things, or they need a voice, and how can I be a voice for them? And that's how I used my voice and way to be the voice for the voiceless women of my country. And it came through football, it came through my activities or activism. It's like my journey as a leader, it started very natural because I was pushed all the suppression and the haters towards women, and like the limitation because of who we are as a woman, as our gender, I had to take a step and say, no, I'm going to lead and make a path, and not only for myself, I'm going to lead to be an example for many other women and girls in my age, but also the older, to take a leadership, to take a stand, to stand for themselves, but stand for something bigger than themselves. And football was a fantastic tool for us because it has so much power. I learned football, and like football came in my life quite naturally because it is a beautiful game. It's for the poorest and for the richest people. It's not like it doesn't divide people. Football has that power that brings people, no matter if you have fancy Adidas or Nike ball, or just like a something wrapped together like a socks,
Yeah.
and then you can make a goal. You don't need to have fancy goal. You just put your bags there, and then it becomes a goal.
Yeah.
And you don't need to even have proper shoes to play football. You can play barefoot. So I was so much into football, street football, with my brothers. But when the society was really putting pressure to stop me for playing football, and kind of putting me in a boxes of like, I belong to the kitchen, I have to cook and learn cooking, I have to stay home, I should not play with brothers or with other friends, male friends in the society. I was like, okay, there is something wrong. Why people in the society decide for me, where it's like, it's not coming from my decision, and I'm not happy what they are deciding. I need to have voice in decision making. And the feeling that how like the privileges, the people who have their voices in the decision making, and but also the vulnerable people that they don't have the voice actually, or their voices are taken from them. So I was thinking a lot more about the people who don't have voice. How can I make a change and difference, and also encourage other people? So that's how I started taking football as a tool for activism and advocacy, and stood up for my right as a woman, but the right of my sisters and other women in the society, to say like, we need to have our voices and decision making. It's about us, about our life, and we need to have the right to take decision. And that's why we started the movement through football, like just having access to the pitch, having access, the right to stand for ourselves. We had to go through a lot, and the movement was quite successful. For some people, football is just a game, all the fun. For us, was much bigger than the game. The first thing is the power it has, the passion it brings, the courage you have, and also like when you like the joy that it brings in unity. It helps you to be together, and no matter of differences, you accept each other. And that is how I wanted to use, like in my movement, bringing team together, bringing different talents together, different women who had, like, one had passion, the other one was like really good in speaking of. So kind of recreating the movement along the way, all the way from 2000 and back in 2003 to 2007, when we had our first women's national team. But this journey was not easy. Many times we faced a lot of challenges. I remember one occasion that where we were attacked, physically attacked by man in the society, and we were told that we cannot walk properly. How can we play football, and all these things? And they took the ball that we were playing with and damaged that ball. As a leader, what I felt like myself is that I had the choice to say, hey, let's give up, we cannot continue this, or stand up and say, no matter how many times we face challenge, how many times we fell down, we stand together, and we work for a bigger vision. And this vision is to stand for our sisters, to be the voice for our voiceless sisters. And that vision helped us to continue and motivated us that this is bigger than us. It is bigger than my right to play football and enjoy this moment. We are going to make history. We are going to change the culture. We are breaking the barriers, so the next generations that they come, they don't need to face these challenges. And that's how we made the history, by playing for the first time in the national team. We had our league and represented our country in an international level, and earned that budge in our chest, and the pride and the way the flag that was waving for us, and the national anthem was played for us, and we were called the football players from Afghanistan. And And that is the dedication, the passion, but also the vision to the vision and the purpose was much bigger than us. And that's why we have been very successful, although we faced a lot of challenges, a lot of negativities. Many times we failed, many times we were scared, but you just, like, as a leader, you feel responsible. But when you feel responsible, sometimes it's good to allow yourself to be vulnerable, but also to show vulnerability to your team, that yes, I'm also scared, I'm also worried, I think we will also fail, I have this thought, but let's find out together, let's move on together, because let's stick to the vision, let's stick to the purpose, and that's bigger than us. And once I had that feeling, the moment with my team, we continued going, and we changed a lot. So many women and girls joined playing football, and the journey was quite successful. Of course, someone who take the lead is in a very difficult and toughest position, because you always get judged, you always people look up to you, they count a lot, but also you're in the more you become successful, the more the risk and the haters you get. Of course, you also gain support and respect, but there's a lot of hate, because what you're trying to do as a leader, you're changing. And unfortunately, the world and how human being the nature is, we are always scared of the change. We are worried, so we kind of become so protective. Some people become protective, but not like in a way to harm people, but some people become very protective and defending themselves, and in a way to harm you. And that's why I faced the challenges and risk towards my life, because I was a threat for the people who saw the changes coming, who saw the development, and my voice becoming stronger and stronger, and the movement becoming bigger and bigger. And many people were joining, and started like from only a few players playing football, only a few girls, to thousand and thousand women and girls playing football, and become like joining the movement, joining the journey. And of course it has sacrifices. I knew that this is like, some people wanted to make change. It's not like always you win. It's not always like, yes, you will get all the things you want. Of course, you lose a lot of things. You sacrifice a lot of things. You have to give up on so many things. And that was my freedom most of the time. The more I was becoming, like the movement becoming stronger, my voice was becoming stronger in a male-dominated culture and country. I was losing the freedom as a human being, as a woman. I could not go out and in shopping alone anymore. I was always under the threat of getting attacked. I could not do certain things because of the limitation and the challenges that was in my way. And I had to act in a way to think about my team, to think about my people, but also to think about the journey. So I had to be extra careful. And that is a lot of responsibility on your shoulder, because you cannot be a leader if you become so selfish. Leadership is like leading people, leading human being.
Yeah, do you know, I've got a question for you. And again, what you've said is amazing. And I can just envision like what you've said. I've just been thinking about consistency over time. Like, we talk about building cultures in organizations, in the corporate world, wanting to have something that they aspire to be. And what you've just said is amazing, because it fits into that passion, vulnerability, but it's over time, isn't it? It doesn't just happen overnight. I've got a quick question from listening to what you were talking about earlier on. Did you have a role model when you were younger, when you were doing this at the start, or was it a lack of a role model that really made you think, actually, I'm going to be the person who stands up and changes this?
Being honest, I mean, coming from the culture where on that time, the accessibility to internet or technology was very limited. So we didn't know beyond the country and people from our country. And of course, there's stories out there, fantastic stories. So we had this limitation, but lack of role models, or even the perception, the way that the society was saying women being very weak, always a follower, because of the culture, because of the way the culture perceives women and seeing women. And that was the question for me: why can't I lead? I can do even better than my brother. Why my brother have to, in the society, will be accepted as a leader, and I can't be accepted as a leader? I can lead and I can make decisions for myself, but also for others, together with them. So, and that was the lack of role model, the lack of examples. But I knew that it has a cost, and my activism is not coming like for free. I have to pay a cost. I have to pay a price for this, and it has a cost, and that is so much on my personal level. But it's like so much on making decision. Am I, like, before just starting the journey, we have to decide, am I ready for this journey? Do I have the capacity or capability and resources to take that journey? How much I'm dedicated to that? And then, like, how much I'm open-minded to all the challenges. Am I brave enough?
Yeah.
Like,
so I've got a quick question for you then. Like, what an absolute amazing journey. What have you learned about yourself in that journey? Because you mentioned about starting the journey. Sometimes you don't know your capability, and you maybe don't have the resources at the start of the journey. So in your perspective, what have you learned, or what would you say your biggest, you might have surprised yourself, or might be something that you've really had to dig in and find within yourself? What would you choose? What surprised yourself about yourself in that journey, in that period?
I think it's my mindset. It's I think it's something like what we see ourselves. I think it's us, like it's us, how we are kind of like working together and telling our minds, saying like, it's possible, you can do it. I mean, it's okay to be failed, it's okay. And that's the way you actually, it's in a voice that no matter how much the external voices support you, but if you are in a voice and internally it's like negative and tell you you cannot do that, like I have tried my best, like I have tried the best possible way to remove this cannot, I am not able, this not word, to be able to, of course, nobody's perfect. Nobody, even taking a journey, you don't know what you're actually going to expect. What will you face? But the thing is that if we don't do it, who else will do it? Someone has to take this step, right? The way the world actually functions, the way that everything is built, someone actually took the courage and said, I'm going to try. Life is adventure. And like taking the journey itself and say like, no matter what, I will try. And if I fail, I fail. I will try again. And that's the mindset. And that's what surprised me in a way, that is, I have been able to learn how to navigate and how to even motivate myself to, no matter how many times I failed, how many times I was pushed back, how many times I was scared, how many times I was hurt, to say, it's okay, we'll continue. I'm not going to give up, because the journey is exciting and it's an adventure. If I don't do it, who else is going to do? I'm going to be a role model and I'm going to be an example. And that's what I continue. No matter how many times I face challenges, I continued.
Yeah, amazing. We were just chatting before we came on, and it would be great if you could actually show us, because where you are at the minute is actually at a football stadium, isn't it? You're in Denmark, and we have a couple of minutes left, but I'm quite happy to go over a little bit because I want you to tell us about all the exciting things you're involved in now. And we've talked about the journey of how you got here, but it's inspiring and amazing. And one of the things that drew me to having you on, like, what are you getting involved with now? And obviously we're going to put the links in for people to come and share, follow you and see what you're up to. But give us a couple of minutes just on what the future looks like for you. What are you involved with?
Right now I'm living as a refugee in Denmark, and as a refugee itself, like living as a refugee is that toughest. Like word refugee is the difficult one because it's so lonely. It's just a lot of challenges it involves. But as a refugee, like coming to Denmark, what I tried my best also with the support of amazing people who have been part of my journey. And this journey was I could never manage to be successful where I am without the support of amazing people in my journey. So I managed to study because when I came here, they said like, oh, you come from another country, your education is not accepted because of the standards. I mean, being a person, I become a person without any identity. I had to make my identity. I had to build my career, my identity. Start from school, went to university, had my degree, started working in the football world, in different organizations. Now I'm working in a football club, but also football academy, which is well known, Right to Dream Academy. Manager for one of the departments with its purpose platform projects that is supporting the athletes but entrepreneurs in the world of football to implement their ideas or the projects which is for social advantages or for social good. So that's what I am involved in, but also I have my own organization, Girl Power, that is using the power of education, informal education, but also sports to empower women and girls from minority and refugee backgrounds. Because as a refugee, I felt there is a need for unity, but also building a bridge where it connects people from different divided communities like refugees and citizens of the country. And education has always proven that that's the way that you communicate, you learn about people, you build a network. But also sport has been always great to create friendship and build friendship. But I have been also very much involved in, before the occupation of Taliban, I was very much involved in development of Afghanistan women's football, both in grassroots and also in elite level. But when the country fell in the hand of Taliban in August, I've been advocating for the players' life, and I've been part of the evacuation operation where we managed to help the national team of Afghanistan, the female footballers. Today they are managed to resettle in Australia with the support of government of Australia, but also the youth team that managed to go to live today that they are in the UK, and I'm helping with their resettlement, mentoring them, trying my best to kind of like divide my time, mentor, support individuals, but also in team level. So I am very much involved in empowering and supporting people that need support.
Amazing. So it doesn't sound like you've got much free time. You're very busy, but thank you so much for coming on and sharing that story. I already know the listeners are going to feel that is very inspiring, and I'm going to say well done. Well done comes to mind, but it's that passion, and you can't help but just be inspired by that vision. And like you said, it's above and beyond, isn't it? It's above and beyond football. And I'm really excited to stay connected and see what you're going to be doing next. So thank you so much again. Ladies and gents, if you enjoyed that, I always like to hear, I always get messages about what you've got from each and every one of our episodes and our amazing guests. And make sure if you haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see us. Or if you're listening to us on your podcast provider, make sure you hit follow. So thank you again for coming and joining me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I'll see you all next week at 6 a.m. every Wednesday. Another amazing guest will be coming on the podcast. See you soon, guys. Take care. Bye.